So, welcome to Cologne. You're on tour right now. How is it going?
It's going great. Yeah, it's good to be back in Germany.
Yeah, it's not your first time in Germany, but is it your first time in Cologne?
No, it's not. We've been in Cologne, I think, twice before this.
So
yeah, a couple of times.
Many friends tonight?
I'm hoping some friends come back, yeah, who were at the show last time, and of course, you know, some new people too, yeah.
Okay. So your new album, Ruckers Hill, is named after a spot in Melbourne. What makes this spot so special for you?
Well, it's a spot right near where I used to live. So I lived there for a few years, and I spent a lot of time walking around those parts. And I guess a lot of the songs and stories from the album come from that time and place in my life. So, you know, I guess we all, different places, you know, have different meanings for all of us, and that has a specific meaning for me based on what I was going through in that time.
Okay, so this spot also inspires you for the songs, for the lyrics, or?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote some of the songs during the time I was living there, and then I wrote some of the songs about a time that I was living there. You know, it's a time and a place that is gone for me now, like a lot of things in our past. You know, so it holds like a kind of nostalgia for me. So yeah, I spent a lot of time thinking and dreaming about that time and place, and writing about it as well.
Mm-hmm. The new album, do you remember the first line? The first line from the first song from the new album?
The first line that I wrote from the first song on this album? I'm not sure that I remember exactly what the first line was. I think that the first song I wrote for this album was "For to Make a Leadweight Float," and so that would have been one of the first lines. Would have been in keeping with the future we wrote, and "For to make a leadweight float." Yeah, that would have been one of the first lines.
Which song or songs on Ruckers Hill best describes the sound and style you prefer, and why?
Well, the first song and the title track, Ruckers Hill, it definitely showcases one of the things that's very important to me and to our band, to Husky the band, and that is the three-part harmonies. I think there's a lot of it on the album, and it's something that I grew up loving and listening to, and I grew up singing with my mother and my sister, and there were a lot of harmonies just in my home growing up. So I think Ruckers Hill, the song, showcases that part of what we do. I think that Heartbeat is a sort of song that tells a story. It has somewhat of a narrative, and I think that's another important part of my songwriting and of what we do as a band, telling a story with our songs. And I guess I'm Not Coming Back is probably another type of song, something a little bit more direct and immediate, which I think is also an important part of what we do. It's important to have songs that connect quickly and immediately, travel from heart to heart swiftly. Mm-hmm. And we try to do that with some of our songs as well. So I think I'm Not Coming Back is maybe a good example of that, I hope.
Okay. Which sounds and effects do you prefer working with between analog and digital, and why?
I have a bit of a kind of a soft spot for analog gear and analog sounds. A lot of the albums or probably all of the albums that I've loved in my life were recorded, with classic analog gear, analog microphones, analog desks, real instruments, acoustic instruments. So I have a bit of a kind of romantic feeling for those things. I think digital gear and plugins and all those sorts of things do give you options that are worth considering when recording.
Mm-hmm.
We don't strictly use analog gear, but we like to use it as much as possible with a little bit of digital here and there because it helps.
Yes. What was the best moment, or was there a special moment during the recording of Ruckers Hill?
There are many special moments throughout the process, and many really hard moments. Both. I think some of the best moments are the moments where you're in the studio and the four of you as a band, as we are, and you're working on a song, and you finally get the take that feels like it's really got what you were going for. It's got the magic that you're after. That makes it good enough to be on the record for the rest of time. And you often know when you've got that. There's a feeling, everybody feels it, and you go back and listen to it, and everybody's like, we got it, we captured it. That's a pretty magical moment, a special moment, and it can be hard to come by. Sometimes you have to play a song over and over sometimes you have to come back the next day, or the next week even. But I think those moments are pretty special. Also, getting the mixes back from Philek, who mixed it in America. There were some really nice moments then too. Hearing the songs fully realized for the first time. Hearing sort of our vision come to life. That's a nice moment.
Yeah. Did you celebrate the moment when the album was finally done, when you realized now it's ready? Did you have a party, or
of course
a cigarette, or
yeah, a party? We had a few drinks and reminisced a little bit about the process, and you have to mark these moments somehow, because they're important milestones. You don't record that many albums in your life. It's a really big undertaking and a big journey, and it's important to mark those moments when you have them.
Yeah. Describe your private record collection, please.
Well, I have a lot of records. I collect vinyl. We all do, all of us. I have a lot of probably half of my collection is my parents' record collection from the 60s and 70s and even 50s. So the usual stuff like the Beach Boys and Fleetwood Mac and Chris Christopherson and Leonard Cohen and all those sort of classic 60s and 70s artists.
So are these artists your highlights, your favorites, or do you have some really special highlights in your record collection?
Yeah, some of those are my highlights for sure. Leonard Cohen is one of my all-time favorites. I think he's one of the great writers, poets, songwriters, rock poets, whatever you want to call him. Joni Mitchell is another favorite. Beach Boys are a favorite. I have some recent favorites too. There's a guy called Jonathan Wilson that I've been listening to a lot. He's made a couple of great records. He's out of LA, I think, in America. I really dig the new Father John Misty album. Sufjan Stevens I've always loved, and I like his new album a lot. I have my record collection ranges from many decades. Yeah.
Okay. Australia is not really around the corner from Europe or Germany.
Not really.
Because of that, is it difficult to build a strong and big fan base, or does it not matter anymore in times of social media, Twitter, YouTube? Are you involved in Twitter and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, or is this not really your world?
Yeah, we're on all of those things. We're on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and I think you have to be these days. It's like you just said, it's a way for people to access you even though you're in another corner of the globe, which we are. You know, we're so far away. It's about 25 hours of actual flying just to get from Australia to Germany, and that's not to mention the stopovers, and you know, so yeah, you need to have a presence online, and I think it's an amazing thing these days that people can access music from anywhere. You know, it has, I think, shrunk the globe a little bit in that way. That said, a big part of what we do as musicians is play live, you know, on a stage. It's such an important part of connecting with your fans and connecting with people. So for us from Australia, getting to Germany, it's harder. You know, it costs more, it takes longer. We can't come back and forth regularly. But that's part of the reason we've decided to stay in Berlin for a little while. And after this tour, we're going to be based in Berlin for the summer at least, and that way we're available to play and actually, you know, have face-to-face contact with people.
Okay, so you stay in Berlin, and you also play some more gigs in Germany. And what comes next?
Yeah, so we've got a few shows in Germany left on our tour. We'll settle down for a little bit in Berlin, set up shop there for a while. We have some gigs coming up throughout Europe. We'll have another tour a little bit later in the year as well in Germany and Europe. And in the meantime, in our downtime in Berlin, we'll be starting work on our next album, on the third album. We've already started working on it a little bit, and it will be nice to have a change of scene, a new city, the summer, to start work on new stuff.
We are very curious. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. And now it's dinner time.
Yeah.
Thank you.